I think if I was more prepared in the antenatal period about postnatal depression, at least I had some sort of idea how to deal with it.
I wish that I knew, going through pregnancy together, that I'd been aware that there was a possibility, and I didn't realise the possibility was so high.
Mental health problems can affect up to 1 in 5 women, both in pregnancy and in the months after a baby is born. For their families and loved ones, this is a difficult time. In this film, in the Out of the Blue series, 4 fathers tell us about their experiences of having a partner with mental health issues, how they recognised that something was wrong, how they coped, and how they helped get the support that the family needed. Mark and his wife Michelle were excited about starting a family together, but a difficult birth experience left her struggling to cope.
Just with herself, it was like somebody put a switch on and her personality totally changed then. She felt very clingy, with eye contact to other people when there. She very didn't know what was going on. You know, she couldn't get out of bed all the time. Then little things where she could do, you know, straight away, she found hard.
Jessica was a confident and experienced mum, but after the birth of their second daughter, her husband John noticed that she started behaving differently.
I came home from work, she was washing the fridge frantically. I just said, "What, are you okay?" Because she just seemed frantic in her manner. And she just cried and said, "No, I'm not okay." She said that she was finding things very stressful and that she didn't quite feel like she was doing a good enough job.
Being pregnant or having a new baby is a lot to adjust to. It's common for family members to put changes in behaviour down to hormones or lack of sleep.
Perhaps it's her being tired, you know, in the baby, there's a lot of stuff going on, and obviously she hadn't slept for 2 weeks.
The only thing that I could think of that sprung to mind was baby blues. I didn't even know what it is. It didn't mean anything to me, but I've heard the term before.
Baby blues usually happens between 3 days, when your baby's 3 days old, up to 5 days old, and that's when you can feel most symptoms. And you might be weepy, you might be irritable, sometimes you might be sad or quite happy and elated and not really understand what's happening, but these symptoms are very short-lived. And by the time your baby gets to 10 days old, those symptoms should have disappeared.
If your wife or partner doesn't seem to be herself, and this lasts for more than a few days, it could be a sign of something more serious.
Early warning signs to look out for are excessive tearfulness or quite detached, withdrawing away from you. Might be a lot of irritability or anger, or quite weepy and sad. Or it might be that your partner has expressed feelings of guilt or doubt, or that she's not coping. Those are clear warning signs that something isn't right.
Many women will hide signs of depression from those closest to them. Paul had no idea how difficult his wife Rachel was finding parenthood until their health visitor recognised that she was suffering from depression.
When I came home, I was asking, you know, so how was the health visitor? And, you know, was it a good meeting? And Rachel just sat down and explained what the health visitor had said.
She said, you know, in this hour that we've been here, you haven't looked at your children, you haven't made eye contact with them, and you haven't spoken to them or about them by name.
Rachel was suffering from postnatal depression, but had not even acknowledged this to herself.
It was a bit of a shock of a day, really, because everything seemed to be fine, but then there was this which knocks you sideways because you're not expecting it at all.
If your wife's sitting there with you saying that she's not a very good parent, or the children react better to you, it kind of makes you question yourself. Like, have I done anything to cause it?
I thought, was it my fault? She was depressed? Was it something I'd done? Did she want this baby? So I had never come across anyone who actually had depression before. And I was 30 years of age, I honestly thought people were depressed. So, you know, I'll be honest, I was one of those people who didn't think anyone, you know, how can people get depressed? Like, so I was totally uneducated then about depression.
Mark and Michelle were worried about what people would think and tried to hide her illness.
We didn't want the family to know because there's a big stigma in mental health, and it's probably worse in postnatal depression because everyone's thinking, well, how can you be depressed? It's such a happy time, and we were worried about social services taking the baby off us, and we know that's not, you know, how it works, you know.
Not only can hiding things be stressful, it can cut you off from support at a time when you really need it.
If you had a broken leg, you wouldn't hesitate to tell other people. People would pick you up, drive you to the hospital, you'd have support from them, cups of tea, you'd have support from professionals, you'd have treatment, and you wouldn't feel ashamed about it, and you wouldn't feel frightened. And this really isn't that different. So let other people help you and help you to recover so that you can get back to your normal self quickly.
As Michelle's illness got worse, the couple turned to their family for help.
So my mother-in-law came to live with us, which is that's an experience in itself. I'm a mother-in-law, but I was lucky. I had a lot of family support.
Getting the right help can take a bit of time, and partners and family members have an important role to play.
We did a lot of talking and a lot of crying, and I insisted that she should go to a doctor.
It wasn't my regular GP that morning. That GP said, oh, well, you know, you've just had a baby, there's going to be some emotions flying around. Take these leaflets and go home and have a think about it and come back next week.
It was almost like she hadn't been taken seriously, or that because the doctor can't see her in her everyday life or everyday routine, they can't make a judgment on just something that she says.
So he sent me back to the GP. We went back the next day. We made sure we saw one of my regular GPs who I've known for years and years.
She always thinks about it as me that instigated it, but I think she sort of knew herself and she just needed me to help get it out.
I think if I hadn't been pushed, I probably would have got a lot worse, a lot quicker, because I wouldn't have gone. I was too scared to go. It took someone forcing me.
Having a partner with a mental illness is never easy, but it isn't something you need to face on your own.
There are a range of mental health conditions that can occur at this time, and making sure that this is identified and the right sort of help is made available is really important. And it's really important to know that however serious it is, all of these conditions are treatable. So getting help quickly is really, really sensible.
Helping with the baby care can make a huge difference. This is something that Xavier was able to do for his partner Charisse when she suffered from postnatal depression.
I was doing night shift. We did call this thing night shift. She looked after the baby in the day when I was at college, and in the night I look after the baby. So I was up like 5 o'clock, from like 1 o'clock till 5 in the morning, looking after the baby, and I still had to go to college the next day for 9 o'clock.
The process of recovering from depression can be a slow one, and it takes its toll on loved ones.
I didn't feel like a man. I didn't feel how a man should feel, you know. I didn't feel, because one, I'm not supporting the family how I want to, and two, I couldn't do my education.
You know, I was looking after the baby. You know, the bills were mounting up, and then eventually I was starting to get depressed myself.
As much as I was putting on a brave face to Jessica, between when Jess started to feel better, I kind of felt worse because I could sort of let my guard down.
You are just worrying about what is going on. Yeah, is this ever going to stop? Is it ever going to end?
Fathers can also experience mental health issues after the birth of a baby, especially if they are supporting their partner through mental illness.
If your partner's experiencing a mental illness at this very crucial, changeable time in their lives, it's very common that you may have periods of low mood, self-doubt and feeling unwell yourself. So it's important that dads or partners seek help from their GP, you know, go and see their GP, and they can be referred on for psychological therapies as well. That's available.
With the right support and with medical treatment where it's needed, mothers and fathers will recover and get back to enjoying family life.
It's a slow process, and I think people expect to get well straight away. You know, eventually the good days will become good days and the less bad days.
I'm just there to help and support her, you know what I mean? To be a better mom, and she's a great mom, she's a fantastic mom.
Sometimes you may feel helpless, but there are many ways that a partner or family member can support a mother suffering from postnatal depression. You can be aware of the symptoms and look out for them. You can listen without judgment to how she is feeling and encourage her to speak to others. You can help her get the right medical help by researching for her or encouraging her. You can provide practical help with the childcare. And perhaps most importantly, you can look after your own mental health.
I just said, come here, give me a hug. And we just sat there holding each other for I don't know how long. And afterwards, me and Rachel were chatting, and she said that that was probably the most important thing that I'd done for quite a long time. Because it wasn't fixing the problem, it was understanding the problem.
For me, it's all about communication. She was communicating with me. I needed to also communicate with somebody else that wasn't in the situation.
Personally, I just wish that we had support as dads as well, and that's taken into consideration.
You know, it's not something to be ashamed of, although at that time you might feel like you're doing something wrong.
Coming through it, it's worth it in the end. Yeah, just hang on in there.
It just needs to be hidden less. It just needs to be talked about more.
You can find more information, support, and the telephone numbers of helplines you can call on the websites listed on your screen now.